So, good afternoon, everyone. I am Maria Cassandra Di De Leon, and now we're going to discuss about the understanding the balance of payments, the current account, and the capital account. So, first is we will define what is the balance of payments. So, when we say balance of payments, it refers to the record of all economic transactions between the residents of a country and the rest of the world over a given period, typically a year or a quarter. So, when we say balance, it means equal. Then, when we say payments, it refers to the uh, money or even exchange of property. So, simply the balance of payments it involves the other countries or the exchange of one country to other countries in terms of trade, investments, loans, and transfers. So simply, balance of payments is just like a report card. So dito natin masasabi if ang country ba ay kumikita rather than nag-spend or ang isang country ba ay nag-spend rather than kumikita. So we have the current account and the capital account. So first is we will discuss kung ano nga ba yung current account. So, current account is the records, transactions that involve the purchase and the sale of financial assets and liabilities between the country and the rest of the world. So, current account is critical indicator sa current account ng isang bansa. And it also helped the economic health and trade position ng isang bansa. So, yung current account ay umiikot sa tinatawag na export and imports, either goods or services. So, you'll know yung definition ng export of goods and import of goods and also the services. Yun. So, the current account is divided into four main categories such as trade balance of goods, services balance, and the income balance or the primary income, and the current transfers or the secondary income. So, madi-discuss muna natin kung ano ba yung trade balance of goods. So, trade balance of goods is the difference between the value of countries' exports and the imports of physical goods. So, so you can see na makikita natin ang ang uh, uh, ang ating formula for trade balance ay TB is equal to exports of goods export of goods minus the imports of goods. Yan. So, yan yung magiging pinaka formula natin for the trade balance. So, how does trade balance works? So, for example, meron tayong tinatawag na trade surplus and trade deficit and also the balance rate. So, sa trade surplus, the value of exported goods exceeds the value of imported goods. So, it means that the Philippines, for example, ay nag-focus sila sa export rather than import. So dito, napapatunayan na pag may trade surplus, mas kumikita yung isang bansa. Then sa trade deficit naman, it means na the value of imports exceeds the value of exports, where ang isang bansa ay nag-spend more on imports rather than kumikita sa exports. So, pag sinabi namang balanced trade, it means fair and neutral for country. It means ang exports and yung imports ay balance. So, parang mahirap siyang i-achieve for a country. Then also, if you're wondering if sino ba yung nagmamanage ng balance of payments, ang nagmamanage ng balance of payments here in the Philippines ay yung Central Bank of the Philippines together with the different departments such as the Department of Finance, yung ganun. So, Philippines is a net importer. Kung say net importer, mas pinaprioritize ng ating country yung pag-import ng mga goods or different services. So, because Philippines is a net importer, it doesn't mean na hindi na siya pwedeng mag-export ng mga goods or even mga services. So, aside from trade balances, meron din tayong services balance. So, it tracks the exports and the import of services, such as intangible products like financial services, tourism, transportation, insurance, and intellectual property. So, dito sa services balance, same lang siya doon sa trade balance. Pero pag sinabing services balance, services yung ina-acquire and ina-offer. So the services balance, meron tayong two types, which is the exported services and the imported services. So sa exported services naman is dito yung mga services na pinoprovide ng mga countries residents sa mga non-residents. For example, here in the Philippines, maraming mga foreign maraming mga foreign visitors from different countries abroad. Then yung mga ginagastos nila na pera dito na yung mga ino-offer natin sa kanila, yun yung tinatawag na exported services. While sa imported services naman, this purchase from non-residents na nagre-result sa expenditure. So, pag sinabing expenditure, na-discuss naman na before. So, for example, here in the Philippines, yung mga Filipinos is nagde-demand sila ng mga abroad, mga services abroad. For example, yung travel expenses ng mga Filipinos sa across or even sa abroad. So, yun. Then, so how does services balance work? So, dito is meron tayong tinatawag na one main sources ng parang balance of services balance. So yung pinaka parang nangahatak sa services balance ng Philippines ay yung business process outsourcing and yung tourism. Pag sinabing business process outsourcing, it offers mga different providers like call centers, mga IT supports, and mga back office operations. So according sa article na nabasa ko na during 2022 to 2023, ang nakakontribute ng BPO industry sa services balance ng Philippines ay almost $30 billion annually. So, because of that, naging cornerstone na siya ng services balance. So, aside from BPO, is meron din tayong tourism. So, tourism, because of the Philippines' natural attractions like yung mga beaches, mga islands, and yung mga cultural heritage, it draws tourists annually. So next is we have the income balance. So it reflects the net flow of income earned on investments such as interest, dividends, and profits, and wages between the country and the rest of the world. So pag sinabing income balance, how does income balance works? So meron tayong two components of income balance or yung primary income natin, such as the compensation of employees and the investment income. When we say compensation of employees, these are the wages, salaries, and other earnings na na-receive ng mga residents natin here in the Philippines na nag-work abroad or yung mga binabayad sa mga non-residents na nagtatrabaho dito sa Philippines. For example, yung mga OFWs natin na nagsisend sila na kanilang half of wages dito sa Philippines. So, yun ay parang natuturing na under sa income balance. Pero sa income balance, matitakal natin later na hindi lahat ng salary from the OFWs and may specific lang na parang professions yung makakount as income balance. Then sa investment income naman is may tinatawag tayo na receipts or yung mga income earned and may tinatawag din tayo na payments or yung mga income paid. So sa receipts, meron tayong tinatawag na direct investment income. So dito, for example, yung mga Filipino businessmen natin or mga malaking corporations dito ay nag-invest sila abroad. For example, a garment factory in Vietnam. Tapos mag-invest doon yung mga Filipino businessmen natin. Then, kapag nag-generate ng income or ng profit yung sa Vietnam, may part doon or may shares doon yung sa mga Filipino businessman natin. Then may tinatawag din tayo na parang receipts or payments or income paid. So yung mga receipts or yung mga paid payments or yung mga income paid, for example, yung mga multinational corporations na nag-operate sa industry just like the BPO. So sa BPO is meron tayong tawag dito na concentrics which offers the customer service and yung mga IT outsourcing. So sa BPO ay nagre-remit sila sa kanilang parent company sa US. Specifically yung concentrics. So kasi kapag sa Philippines yung concentrics kapag nag-generate sila ng kanilang profit, Then yung half ng profit nila ay napupunta doon sa kanilang parent company. Then yung mga parent company na yun, na salary or mga pera na ipinapadala sa kanila ay tinatawag na dividends. So, aside from investment income and compensation of employees under the income balance is meron din tayong tinatawag na positive income balance and the negative income balance. So just like trade and services balance is pag sinabing positive income balance, ito yung mga uh, nag-occur sa isang country if nag-invest sila, nag-prioritize nila yung investment nila from other countries rather than paying for foreign investors na dumadating dito here in the Philippines. So, contradictory naman dun sa concept ng positive income balance, yung negative income balance na mas pinaprioritize ng isang bansa ang pagbabayad sa mga foreign investors rather than investing from other countries. So, dito, here in the Philippines, yung pinaka na-discuss kanina na under sa income balance ay yung OFW compensation. So, sa OFW compensation, yung mga payment, yung mga salaries na nare-receive nila ay na ipinapadala nila from their home country which is the Philippines ay tinatawag na ay under sa income balance kasi um, merong mga specific na professions like mga nurses, mga seafarers ay naka-count as income balance yung kanilang salary or yung kanilang nare-receive other overseas. Pero yung mga ordinary na mga OFWs, naka-count yung kanilang mga income na nare-receive under sa secondary income na mag-discuss later. So, from that is meron tayong tinatawag na current transfers or the secondary income. So, the category records transactions where money or goods are transferred between countries without any corresponding return, no goods or services exchanged in return. So, when we say current transfers, unilateral lang yung transactions. When we say unilateral, one-way transfers po siya. And then may mga components siya. So how does current transfer work? So yun na nga, may mga components siya, such as the private transfers and the government transfers. So first, muna doon sa private transfers. So sa private transfers kasi is makakount dito yung mga remittances or yung mga pinapadala ng mga ordinary OFWs na half of their salary sa kanilang home country. So, yun yung tinatawag na remittances. Then, dito naman sa government transfers, dito, nag-occur yung mga foreign aids na tinatawag na mga grants or financial assistance from one government to another government. For example, the US and the Philippines. Pinadala from the US ang aid nila or financial aid nila to Philippines. Nag-occur lang yun kapag merong development yung isang bansa na gustong padalhan ng pera ng other countries or even during times of parang disasters. And meron din yung mga pensions. These payments na binabayad sa mga retired individuals na nagtatrabaho abroad by their home country. And kasama din dito sa government transfers yung mga contributions, yung mga international contributions like the UN, the World Health Organizations. So it really helps or it supports the economy, the current transfers or the secondary income, like the Philippines, example, in terms of remittances na nanggagaling sa mga OFWs. Kasi the more na pumapasok na maraming foreign na pera dito or mga foreign currency, the more na na-stabilize yung economy ng Pilipinas. So next is the capital account. So capital account is typically smaller and less significant than the financial account, but still plays a crucial role in tracking non-financial transactions and capital transfers between a country and the rest of the world. So meron tayong dalawang components ng capital account, which is the capital transfers and the acquisitions or the disposals of non-produced non-financial assets. So capital account It involves yung mga transactions na hindi directly na involve yung pag-exchange of goods, services, and even income, but have an impact in the stock capital of a country. So first is, dun muna tayo sa current capital transfers. So capital transfers, this involve the movement of capital in the form of non-financial resources. So how does capital transfers works? So it transfers yung ownership ng fixed assets or mga provisions ng funds for capital purposes without requiring repayment. So meron tayong dito ang dalawa na debt forgiveness and the migrant transfers. So first, dun muna tayo sa debt forgiveness. So dito sa um, debt forgiveness is dito nag-occur yung tinatawag na parang pag may utang yung isang bansa, for example, the Philippines sa US, may utang yung Philippines sa US, a total of $100 billion dollars. Then, nagkakaroon ng parang debt forgiveness kapag sa isang agreement, which is the bilateral and multilateral agreement. So, for example, nagkaroon ng ganon, then yung US ay kinuha lang nila yung half of the $100 billion. Then yung half na natira na $100 billion is hindi na nila na $50 na hindi nila ipapabayad yon. So, hindi na nila ipapabayad yon, then ma-transfer siya or ma-consider siya as capital transfers. Then sa migrant transfers naman is migrant transfers, for example, if yung migrant from Philippines is pumunta doon sa parang or nagstay or migrant nga na nagstay doon sa may US, then nagdala ng parang transfers or nag-transfer siya ng non-financial assets, for example, yung lupa, back to their parang home country, which is the Philippines. So it could be considered na capital transfer. It requires non-financial transactions. Then, dito naman tayo sa acquisitions or disposals of non-produced, non-financial assets. So, meron tayong category includes acquisition or disposal of non-financial assets that are not produced. So, dito, meron tayong dalawa, which is the natural resources and the intangible assets. Kapag sa natural resources, for example, dun muna tayo sa acquisitions. Ang foreign country is na bumili siya ng kanyang rights para mag-exploit dito. For example, here in the Philippines, because Philippines is very rich in different natural resources or mga even materials na kakailanganin nila sa ibang bansa. So, bumili siya ng rights para mag-exploit sa land ng Philippines. Then with that, magkakaroon lamang ng disposals kapag ibinenta niya na yung rights niya sa ibang country or sa ibang kumpanya. Then, sa intangible assets naman, para mas mag-gets nyo palalo, sa acquisition muna tayo. Sa acquisition naman is kapag ang isang country ay bumili siya ng mga trademarks or copyrights, pagdating sa mga property rights or intellectual property rights from other country. Then, same for natural resources na magkakaroon lang tayo ng disposals kapag ibinenta na yung purchase nilang trademark or yung copyright. So, dun lang umiikot yung capital account. Then, may tinatawag tayo na capital account surplus na na-discuss naman na earlier kung ano ba yung meaning ng surplus and deficit. Capital account surplus, babasahin ko na lang, it occurs if a country receives more capital transfers such as debt forgiveness or remittances than it sends abroad. Mas pinaprioritize dito yung parang mas nag-generate ng income yung or ng property yung home country na nasaan man kayo. So dito naman sa capital account deficit, would occur if a country is sending out more capital in the form of transfers, such as debt forgiveness, than it is receiving. So for end my presentation, I have a question here that if you would relate the lesson to a thing, what it would be. So you can just comment down below if kung ano ba yon and explanation then. So if ako yung tatanungin, I would relate it to a coin. Simply, yung part ng coin is merong, simply yung part ng coin is merong uh, the tail and the head. For me, the tail signifies the current account and the tail signifies the capital account. So, the current account, if you would know, ito yung mga regular day-to-day basis na transactions between one country to another country. While pag sinabi namang doon sa capital account, this is a form of parang transfers. So with that, makakabuo tayo ng isang coin. With that coin, it signifies the balance of payment. So, dun lang nagtatapos yung topic and want you to know na ah, hindi lamang ah, sides of coin ang dapat nating matutunan dito or yung mga concept, kundi matutunan din natin kung paano mag-plan ng ating financial personal plan. Kasi hindi natin alam if in the future, kailan magkakaroon ng deficit, kailan magkakaroon ng mga negative trade balance ng mga yan. So, kailangan natin na maging ready at all costs. So, that's all. Thank you.